Across thousands of years and every continent, ancient civilizations told the same story. Beings came from the sky, taught humanity, and vanished. These weren't isolated myths. They were memories carved into stone. Before there were cities, before writing, before kings, borders, or history itself, humans were already looking at the sky and drawing what they saw. The oldest human art is not about wars or rulers. It is about memory. Across deserts, mountains, and forests, the first humans carved and painted the same strange figures again and again. Not animals, not normal people, but tall beings with large heads, glowing bodies, and shapes that did not look human. In the deep Sahara Desert of Africa, inside the caves of Tassili and Niger, more than 15,000 ancient paintings cover the stone walls. Today it is dry and lifeless, but 10,000 years ago it was green, full of rivers and wildlife. Among hunters and animals are figures that don't belong. Huge beings with round heads, helmet-like shapes covering their faces, long limbs stretched wide, some floating, some connected by strange lines like cables or tubes. One figure is so unusual that early explorers nicknamed it the Great Martian God. Archaeologists say these images are spiritual visions or rituals. But here's the problem. Nothing else from that time looks like this. If these were gods or dreams, why are they drawn so carefully and consistently? Now travel thousands of miles away to northern Australia. Aboriginal people paint the Wandjina, white-faced beings with huge black eyes and glowing halos around their heads. They are not spirits. According to Aboriginal elders, the Wandjina came from the clouds, brought rain, law, and knowledge, then returned to the sky. To this day, the paintings are repainted every year because the Wandjina are believed to still watch over the land. Africa, Australia, no contact, no shared language. Yet, the figures look shockingly similar. The same pattern appears in Italy, where ancient rock carvings show people wearing round helmets with rays shooting from their heads. In North America, the Hopi tribe tells stories of the Ant people, tall beings with long heads and large eyes who save humans during great disasters by taking them underground. In South America, cave art shows giant figures standing beside humans, teaching them, while lines descend from the sky like ladders or beams. In Africa, the San Bushmen painted glowing beings surrounded by energy, said to have come during times of drought to give guidance. Different continents, different cultures, same story. Beings came from above. They taught. Then they left. Modern scholars say these are symbols, dreams, or imagination. Sometimes that explanation fits. But when the same shapes, same stories, same roles appear across the entire planet, coincidence becomes hard to believe. These were not just myths. They were records. Humanity's first witnesses didn't write history. They painted it. And what happened next changed the world forever. After these sky beings disappeared from the art, something incredible happened on Earth. Civilization appeared. Not slowly, not step by step, but suddenly. Humans who were once hunter-gatherers began farming, building cities, tracking stars, writing languages, and cutting stone with impossible precision. And everywhere civilization appeared, the people said the same thing. We did not discover this knowledge ourselves. It was given to us. In Mesopotamia, the world's first cities rose from the mud plains. The Sumerians invented writing, law, mathematics, and astronomy. They said it all came from the Anunnaki, beings whose name literally means those who came from heaven to earth. Their tablets describe God descending in fire and thunder, teaching humans how to farm, measure time, and build cities. In Egypt, history begins with a time called Zep Tepi, the first time, a golden age when gods ruled alongside humans. Thoth gave writing. Osiris gave agriculture. Imhotep built pyramids using knowledge taught by the gods. The pyramids were aligned with stars. The temples mirrored the sky. Egypt was not copying the heavens. It was remembering them. Across the ocean, the Maya and Aztecs told of a bearded teacher god, Quetzalcoatl, who arrived after flood brought knowledge and promised a return. In South America, Viracocha emerged after darkness, rebuilt civilization, and disappeared across the sea. In India, ancient texts describe Amanas, flying machines powered by fire and sound. These were not metaphors. They were described like machines. In China, glowing beings descended on flying orbs and taught medicine, astronomy, and metalwork. Different names. Same role. First, disaster or collapse. Then, arrival of luminous teachers. Then, sudden rise of civilization. Then, departure. Archaeology confirms something strange. Many ancient civilizations appear fully formed, without long learning curves. That doesn't mean aliens built everything. But it does mean knowledge arrived faster than expected. Who taught humanity? Lost ancestors? Survivors of an advanced prehistoric culture? Or something else entirely? Whatever the answer is, humanity never forgot, and they built monuments to remember. For thousands of years, humanity has tried to understand why the same stories appear in every corner of the world. Why people who never met, never shared language, and never crossed oceans described gods who came from the sky, taught civilization, and promised a return. Archaeology can date stones. Anthropology can track migrations. But the ideas behind these stories, the shared memories, the identical symbols, still refuse to fit into one simple explanation. Every ancient culture believed something important began when the sky opened, when beings from above arrived and changed the direction of humanity. After they left, humans tried to remember. They built monuments. They carved stone. They aligned temples to the stars. It was as if they were leaving messages, not for other humans, but for the heavens themselves. Across the ancient world, the same pattern repeats. A catastrophe, a reset, then a sudden rise of knowledge. Stoneworking appears without clear development. Astronomy arrives fully formed. Mathematics, writing, and architecture emerge almost overnight. These were not slow discoveries. They were leaps. And every civilization claimed the same source. The teachers from above. Göbekli Tepe challenges everything we thought we knew about human history. Built more than 11,000 years ago, before agriculture, before cities, before metal tools, it should not exist. Massive stone pillars, carved with precision, arranged in perfect circles, aligned with celestial points. The people who built it were hunter-gatherers, yet they organized large workforces, transported heavy stone, and planned complex geometry. When the site was finished, they buried it deliberately, as if sealing away something sacred. Many of its alignments point toward constellations later worshipped by civilizations that didn't exist yet. It feels less like the beginning of religion and more like the preservation of memory. In Mesopotamia, ziggurats rose like artificial mountains, each layer representing a level of the heavens. At the top was a shrine, the dwelling place of the gods. These were not just temples. They were meant to connect earth and sky. Ancient texts describe the Anunnaki, descending in storms, fire, and noise. The ziggurats may have been built as beacons, invitations, or reminders. Even their shape suggests ascent, a stairway for beings who once came down. Across the ocean, Teotihuacan stands silent. No written records. No known builders. Yet its design mirrors the solar system. Its avenue aligns with Orion. Beneath its pyramids are tunnels, mica sheets, and traces of mercury, materials that reflect energy, light, and heat. For a society without advanced tools, this technology makes little sense. But if the city was meant to imitate something seen from above, its design becomes intentional. The Aztecs didn't build it. They found it, and they called it the place where men became gods. High in the Andes, Pumapunka defies explanation even today. Stone blocks weighing over 100 tons, cut with machine-like precision, fitted together with millimeter accuracy. No signs of primitive tools. No evidence of gradual construction. Local legends say the gods built it in a single night after descending from the sky. Modern engineers still struggle to explain how it was done. The site feels less like ancient architecture and more like frozen technology. In Lebanon, Baalbek's foundation stones weigh more than 1,000 tons. Even modern cranes would struggle to lift them. Yet they were placed with perfect precision by an unknown civilization long before the Romans arrived. The Romans built their temple on top, as if claiming something already sacred. The name Baalbek traces back to a storm god associated with lightning and the sky. The stones beneath may be remnants of a much older sanctuary, built for beings remembered as gods. In Cambodia, Angkor Wat rises in the jungle like a cosmic map. Its layout mirrors the Milky Way. Its towers represent celestial bodies. Its canals align with solstices and equinoxes. Every measurement reflects astronomy. Ancient inscriptions say it was built using a divine blueprint, a model of the heavens brought to earth. This was not just worship. It was replication. These monuments were not built randomly. They share the same purpose: to reach upward, to align with the stars, to remember a time when knowledge came from above. Humanity wasn't just honoring gods. It was trying to reconnect. Scholars have offered many explanations. Carl Jung believed these stories came from shared psychological archetypes. Humanity, he said, projects power and meaning onto the sky. Gods from above are symbols of our collective subconscious. This explains why the heavens inspired awe, but it doesn't explain why the gods wear helmets, arrive in fire, or bring advanced knowledge. Others suggest cultural convergence. Humans everywhere looked at the same sky, faced the same fears, and invented similar myths. But convergence doesn't explain identical narratives. Arrival, teaching, departure. The same sequence appears again and again across continents and thousands of years. Some researchers believe these stories come from a lost advanced civilization that existed before the last ice age. When global floods wiped it out, survivors scattered across the world, carrying fragments of knowledge. To later humans, they became gods. This theory fits the timeline of sudden advancement and explains why knowledge appears without clear development. If such a civilization was coastal, much of its evidence would now be underwater, lost but not impossible. Then there is the extraterrestrial hypothesis, that ancient people witnessed advanced technology they could not understand, that flying craft became chariots of fire, that suits became divine armor, that visitors from another world were remembered as gods. There is no physical proof, but the descriptions remain disturbingly consistent. A more radical idea suggests these beings were not from another planet, but from another dimension, entities crossing realities, appearing as luminous forms. Modern physics does not rule out parallel dimensions. To ancient humans, such encounters would feel divine. What they saw, they recorded as best they could. None of these explanations answer everything. Each explains part of the mystery, but leaves gaps. What remains undeniable is the pattern. The same beings, the same descent, the same transfer of knowledge, the same disappearance. Humanity didn't invent this story once. It remembered it everywhere. The monuments still stand. The art still survives. The myths still echo. Whether these beings were gods, teachers, survivors, or something beyond our understanding, their influence shaped the world we live in. Civilization did not rise in isolation. It rose in response. And perhaps the most unsettling thought of all is this. Every culture believed the visitors would return. The sky was not just where they came from. It was where they were expected to come back from. Maybe these stories are warnings. Maybe they are memories. Or maybe they are reminders that human history did not begin the way we were taught. That before civilization, before science, before written language, humanity was not alone. The question is no longer what ancient people believed. That is clear. The question is what they experienced, and whether we are still living in the shadow of that first contact. And even after the builders were gone, the monuments remained. Stone outlived kings. Temples outlived empires. The stars above these structures never changed, and neither did the questions they left behind. Humanity moved forward, but the memory of that first contact never faded. It stayed carved into pillars buried beneath cities, and whispered through myths that survived every collapse. As generations passed, the sky grew silent. No more teachers descended. No lights returned. What remained was imitation. Humans built higher, aligned better, and searched the heavens for signs that those who once came might return. Every pyramid, every ziggurat, every star-aligned temple was more than a place of worship. It was a message, a reminder, a signal sent upward, waiting for an answer. Over time, stories replaced encounters. Gods became symbols. Technology became magic. And history slowly forgot its own beginning. Yet the pattern never disappeared. Across continents and cultures, the same memory endured. A time of chaos, a descent from the sky, knowledge given, then departure. Civilization did not rise in isolation. It rose in response to something that changed humanity forever. Today, we explain these stories with psychology, coincidence, or metaphor. We call them myths because the alternative challenges everything we think we know about our past. But myths do not leave behind precision stonework, global star maps, and sudden leaps in knowledge. They do not repeat with the same details across oceans and thousands of years. Perhaps these ancient people misunderstood what they witnessed. Perhaps they described real events using the only language available to them. Or perhaps the truth lies somewhere between imagination and memory. Whatever the answer, one fact remains undeniable. Humanity has always believed its greatest knowledge came from above. Now, for the first time, we are once again reaching toward the sky. We send machines beyond our planet. We listen for signals in the darkness. We search the same stars our ancestors once watched with fear and wonder. And in doing so, we may be repeating the oldest human behavior of all, waiting. Because if the past teaches us anything, it is this: humanity did not begin alone, and the silence of the sky does not mean it always will remain that way. Stay curious.